All right. So, welcome everybody. This is Phil on the road. So you don't have the normal lighting. It's like, like when you do those horror stories and you stick the light under your face, you have so we have dim lighting, intimate back to basics tonight. So, again, as always, the main part of this training is really for you guys. What questions you have, some stuff. If you want a little, canned presentation stuff too, some common questions that I get, I can always refer to that as well. So that's not a problem. I will say I have a hard stop at 9 o'clock because I am actually meeting with customers to submit an annuity. Awesome. And so that's going to get me more money than talking to you guys at the moment, but just saying, I could be wrong. Um, so just a couple quick updates. We got about 10 spots left for the Nashville Summit that we're doing. September 12th would be when you would come in. 13th is a Saturday. We're gonna go till about 4 o'clock, 4:30, and then we got a suite rented out for our AAA baseball team, the Nashville Sounds, and then the next day till about 12 o'clock, and then you're on your merry way. So it should be a good event. Also, it never hurts to go to Nash Vegas, as we like to call it. But it's a lot of deep dive on product, deep dive on sales ideas. The whole idea is to motivate and give you some ways to really dive in for quarter four. Because if you can get some good examples, some good opportunities to kickstart for quarter four, the best part about that is one, kids are back in school. So people are really back at it, from the business standpoint. Like I know we all have jobs and we work and whatever, but usually when the kids are out, it's a little harder to conduct some business. So if we can spring up and start really hitting the fourth quarter strong, that'll actually help you as you tailor in and then get you into next year as well, because a lot of it can carry over. I actually start my business planning for next year starting in October in regards to looking at trends, track records, dollars spent to dollars earned. What do I want to do differently for the new year and things like that. So, just simple business 101. Really, just how do you take it to the next level? Things like that is how quarter four usually ends. So we want to do something to really, bring that excitement up, bring the opportunity there to, kind of get in and get some sales ideas. Share some time with other experts in the industry. I'm trying to get Jeff Tabor to come from Columbus because he's fun. And just to break up the monotony, if you will. Other quick note. So tomorrow, 4 o'clock Central, we are going to do our training, and we're going to talk about the fundamentals of whole life. Okay, the product itself, the fundamentals of whole life. What are dividends? How can you use them? What are non-forfeiture options? What are the benefits of those? Guaranteed cash growth, understanding the mechanics of it. So whether you love to sell it or you need to know how to compete against it because you have a giant market share. For example's sake, talk about the Indian market. New York Life is rampant in there. So how do you overcome that conversation? So to know it is to understand it, but also to understand that you are in an independent market, an independent space where you can sell whatever you want. And if the client likes whole life, it's not a bad product. It's still the number one product in the permanent insurance space. So, how do you sell it? How do you talk about it in a respectful way? Because, when you start trashing your competition, it usually comes back to bite you in the keister, too. So, just understanding that there's differences between all products. There's no bad products, I always say, there's just bad agents. So we're just going to take a deep dive into that, how to read an illustration appropriately, and understand, kind of the mechanics of what some people will talk about from the benefit side, but from the agent side, trying to get a sale, they might over exemplify certain things. So we're just going to talk about stuff like that, the real basics. Like Michael, I know you're a guru at the whole life, especially infinite banking and cash accumulation. I don't know if we'll have enough time to go super deep in it. I think the first part is just going to be fundamentals because a lot of people that I know just don't really understand, the basics of it, and it really is a good product when you understand it. So,
I think the problem is they don't understand the basics. So it's
yeah,
like you get caught up with the hype of different products
yep.
without actually understanding.
It's always the infinite banking conversation, and it's a good conversation to have. But then you've got people literally have this conversation today. I was going from the airport to the rental car place, and I was talking to someone on the phone, and they were talking about infinite banking with someone who's in a three-letter organization. I'll just leave it at that. And said, I think this infinite banking thing has a good story. He's like, you can do that with IUL as well. And I was like, oh, you know, like again, pros and cons for everything, the understanding of it, and it misses the mark. So
Yeah.
that's why I say like we'll just deep dive into it, give like a 30-45 minute spiel on it so people have some idea around that. So um that's kind of
I'll
it for
just
the
say,
commercials.
I'll say
Go
this,
ahead.
Phil.
Yeah,
I hope my competition trashes it
I know, right?
because then they lose all credibility.
That's what I say. Like there's no bad products, just bad agents. So like you can find a
Myself.
good value prop for anything. So Um, so like I said, that's really it for the commercials, for what's to come, things that are going on. Would love to see you guys register for the summit if you haven't already. Should be in the newsletters. So if you are getting the newsletters, you should see the registration in there. If you're not getting the newsletters, it's one of two things happened. You either unsubscribed or it's going to your spam. So just let me know if you want to be back on the newsletters and you're not getting them. I can respectfully uncheck the do not disturb button and put you back in the fold, or whatever. But we can rock and roll from there. So I'll open it up for questions. Anyone have any particular questions right off the bat, or is there anything you want to see?
Phil, quickly regarding the summit, I think I have registered, but how do I know I have registered? I think, but
You did. Yeah, you
okay.
did. Yeah, so I did send so in my marketing CRM, I put a trigger in there. So 7 days after you register, it should send an email with the agenda and timing and everything. But I think you were one of the first people to register, so I just sent you a blind copy email to like 7 people registered before I put the trigger emails in. So you should have got an email from me. I think it went to your Vipul Jindal
Yep.
USA at Gmail.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So
I think
yeah.
I've got two email address. I want to uncheck one and check one.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
everything goes to one email address.
Yeah.
But I will drop you a message.
Yeah. Text me which one you want and we'll go from there. So perfect. All right. Any questions right off the bat?
Yeah, Phil, I do have one question. I've been working
Sure.
on the AIG policy, and there I'm getting, it's not an exact error, but it's a warning. So
Okay.
this is how it is. Here's a, I think 23, 24-year-old young person.
Hmm.
For first 20 years, I am paying like, 500 a month. And then next 10 years, it's like 800 a month.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I can share the screen if you want me
Yeah,
to
please.
show
Let's see
you.
what you
And
got.
what I'm getting is, can you guys see the screen?
It's coming up. There you go.
Okay, this is what I'm getting. Target criteria cannot be met because of guidelines. The death benefit option could not be switched.
Okay.
Okay, and now if you see the illustrations, then it's okay. But it's not using the second part of. I mean, it's not okay actually. Honestly, it's messed up. So let me show you. Mm. So this is what it is, right? 6,000, right?
Yep.
It starts here 6,000. That benefit is this much, and then you know it goes on. I asked him to stop at 30. I mean, after 20 years, right? Around 40 plus, it hasn't
Hmm.
stopped.
Yep.
It completely stopped at 54. But it
Yep.
did not take the 9,000 thing. And now you can see withdrawals. Where are the withdrawals? Cash and the loan withdrawals.
Probably
It's
next
not showing
page,
withdrawals either.
65. Go
Uh,
next page.
yeah, 65, right?
Yeah,
Correct, 65. So
there
it's
you go.
83,000, right?
Yep.
So, but my question is, what is that error? Why it's not able to take on? So I can go you and show you the policy here. I think this is what the problem is. It's not able to switch at optimal year. I mean, what I wanted, typically what we do is like, we say after, once we start taking the withdrawals, we say flat it, right? Stay at,
Yep.
right? Till
Yep.
that it should be increasing. So where do I specify here?
So a couple things. So if you go to, so first and foremost, you want to change it to level at year 30, right? After, or year
Correct.
31 after the income. So I'm a big fan, personally speaking, of just doing in policy options, increasing for years 1 to 30 and then 31 level. Because I've
Correct.
never found with any of the carriers, like I've done it with Symetra, I've done it with Corbridge, I've done it with like other carriers. And anytime it does the optimal switch, it never works for me. So I would literally just change it 1 to 30 increasing. Which I don't know why you don't have the.
See, this is what I want to do it, right? 6,000 first, 20
Yep.
years, and next 10 years, I want 800 per month, which is 9,600. So where do
So
you show this?
we'll do a couple things here. So death benefit option, click the drop down and change it to increasing.
There's nothing.
Oh, all right. Go back to the solve for tab. So carriers in this situation have some extra things that other carriers don't have to try and make it easier for you. So that first solve for section right at the top, change that to solve for face amount. And minimum face no mech is accurate. Go to the policy options now. Now
Ah,
click on the calendar. Yep. So now click
okay.
on the calendar 1 to 30. This might actually fix it, believe it or not.
Yeah,
So,
this will fix it.
well, it may not, because sometimes what happens is you might have to increase the face, and we'll do that next. So go to disbursements real quick. There's another thing I saw there. So you'll see disbursement options. You did withdrawals. So withdrawals will just take out the cash value. You want to do loans. So now when you do it, hit calculate and let's see if that fixed the issue right off the bat.
Okay, that was a catch. Good catch. Hmm.
Yeah, so I've never been a fan of when, so back in the day, Corbridge would have theirs set up immediately for income because it was designed for income, but all
Mm-hmm.
the other carriers were doing a no solve because they wanted you to do everything and figure it out, and then there was mass confusion. So the error is gone.
It's gone.
Now hit the PDF.
Okay, 6,000, death benefit 157.
Keep going. Year 20, it's still 6,000. So we'll have to fix one other thing, but just keep
No, then
going.
it isn't changing.
Well, we'll fix it in a second here, okay? It's a two-part change,
My
okay?
fix. Okay.
So what we have to do is go into the case. Now you see the solve for. What we're going to do is 1 through 30 do $9,600. Okay.
Okay.
Now hit calculate. You don't care about anything else right now but the face amount. Because what you need to do is you need to have a face amount, initial face amount big enough that can take 9,600 as the guideline level premium. Right now, the face amount is too small to accept $9,600 later because it's 6,000. So you see right here. Now here's a funny thing. So
250.
246,732 is the number. What I would do is go back into the case and where it says face amount at the top, do solve for and no solve. Okay. Now it already changed back to the parameters you want, so we don't have to change that. Now where it
Mhm.
says no violation, double click on that and highlight it all. Nope. No violation is already up there, but we don't just double click that and it'll highlight the whole thing.
Yeah. Delete it.
Yeah. And then put 250,000 in. Now the reason why I'm saying 250 is 246 and some change kept your 9,600 that
Ah,
you would
gotcha.
get. Okay. But 250 is the first price break for coverage to give you cheaper cost per thousand.
Yeah.
So it may not illustrate it, but it's actually going to be better for the customer at 250 versus 246. So now
Okay.
hit calculate.
And solve for still the same? No solve?
Leave everything else the same. We had to figure out a death benefit that could accept the total premium, which
Hmm.
means we have to basically do both the premium and the face amount, where normally you have one or the other and you're solving for the other. In this case, we have to figure out a face amount that can accept your premium. And then from your premium there, you leave that static and then you put the face amount in. So that should fix it. Let's see if it does. So click on the PDF and then go down to the money page. So
Yeah,
six. There you go.
it
Now let's
picked up.
see. Now let's go to year 30. So year 30, 9,600 ends. You put in a total of 216, and we want to get out loans and withdrawals. We have to go back and add that back in. I think you took it out. So let's go back in and go to disbursements. Oh, that's why. So click on the calendar and then age. I go by age on this one because most people want to know what age. So the
Yeah.
24 to 64,
It for us because we yeah they really
and then put max. Yeah, now hit calculate. So that should fix it with the income and everything.
Yeah.
Um, so now all the parameters are in place. So once again, it's if you had a static number, so 6,000 was it, minimum face, no mech, and it'll give you what you need. But because you want to increase it later, now you have, see, Shalaka, there you go. So once you have that face amount that can accept the bigger number, now you can increase it there. And just again, common practice to understand where the bands are for insurance. Most carriers is 250, 500, 750, and a million. That gives you cheaper costs of insurance. So drum roll. There you go, 101,471, and he's taking
Wow.
that for a total of about 25 years. So if we do the math on that, 101, 471 times by
2.5.
25, about 2.5 mil. I don't know why it's lapsing out. That's a first.
Oh,
So
And
um
where we can see the cost price. So clients are also interested in cost verification. So how much they are that amount is paid towards the cost.
why does
Account.
that matter? Just kidding. Let's go let's go back to the edit. Okay. Prasanna, we want to make sure that we're not getting zeros after 85. So let's edit this and see what we missed. Okay, that's where, all right. So you see pay loan interest, it says borrow from the policy, distribution target surrender value $0. You want $0 at 121, not at 86.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So it'll reduce the amount that they'll be able to pull out, but they'll actually keep their policy. Now, Shalaka's question, real quick before you calculate it again, go to reports, and you're going to check the box that says policy costs and benefits reports. Okay, now hit calculate, and Shalaka, that will add the extra report in that gives you the cost. Now we'll look at that here in a minute. Let's just make sure we fully fixed Prasanna's illustration, which I'm sure we did.
I think
Um,
so, yeah.
yeah, but normally, for those who watch this later, normally it has defaulted to 121. So I'm going to say the architect might have monkeyed around with it, but yeah. So you want it at 121. You don't want the policy to lapse.
Absolutely.
So
I was gonna say that's super aggressive. There's no way it doesn't lapse before 85.
all right. I was like,
Not with
I
not with
was
that,
like, those are some
not with
great
those loans.
numbers. I'm ready to do that too. And then I was like,
Yeah.
oh. So yeah, it'll probably drop it to like 80,000 or something like that. Just go
98.
98. Yeah.
Not bad.
So and let's just see. Let's just make sure.
Huh?
So yeah, there you go. All right. Now to answer Shalaka's question on cost, if you continue down, you see how there's 56 pages in this PDF. So anytime you add a report, it's going to go on the end. So if we go down to probably around page 50, we'll be able to see the policy costs and reports tab.
Oh, by age
So
131, it became 54 millions.
yeah, that'd be nice, right? As I
Okay.
say, the question is what kind of state are you in at 131? Like if I'm my 20s, Phil Resch at 131, I'll take it. But if I'm any worse than I am now, just harpoon me and call it. Keep going. Keep going. You'll see a policy costs. It'll say it as you keep going here. All right, here we go. All right, so Shalaka, for your question, what we deduct. So there is 1785 plus 255. Okay, so the annualized monthly charges, that is a combination of a few things. And if you'll notice, after year 10, even though the client is still paying the same number, it drops. Okay. And even though it increases at year 21, that's because the premium increased. Okay. There's what you call a load charge, and a load charge is being assessed. Why? Because there are commissions that are being paid out to agencies, to agents, to IMOs. So typically, when you sell a life insurance policy, more money is being doled out than what's coming in. And so the insurance companies, in order to recoup their loss, they have higher fees in the first 10 years, like you'll see here. So, much like any type of conversation you have around life insurance, the conversation needs to be around the fact that in the first 10 years, it's almost like you have a newborn baby. Okay. With a newborn baby, you can't expect them to be feeding themselves, walking, potty trained right off the bat. That takes time. Much like a newborn baby, you have to feed it, take care of it before you have any type of reciprocal love, so to speak. Same thing with these type of policies. There's higher fees in the beginning, then they drop, which then increases or explodes the cash. So in the first 10 years, really it's more the insurance that you're buying from that standpoint and the living benefits. And then why we need to understand that these policies are really designed to be a 20 to 30-year product, not a 2 to 3 year product. And that's the problem is a lot of people try and sell it as you have cash right away. And in this case, because, Persona has a policy where you're putting more money into it later, you are technically buying more insurance than you need to. And it looks like he's paying more in fees than he should be. But if this client, instead of doing 9,600 in year 21, he can afford to do it in year 2 or 3, he has the ability to do so now. But the annualized monthly charges is a combination of a few things. It is if your client needs to call up Corbridge, someone has to answer the phone. They pay people to answer the phone. Therefore, that is part of that annualized monthly charges. It's an admin fee.
Admin
There's a
fee.
load cost. And if you talk to anybody who is more privy to financial services, there are ways you can equate that to the customer. What a load charge is kind of like an A share stock. An A share stock is you give $100 to whatever stock you want, to your A share stock. They take a load charge. So really you're investing $80 because $20 is going out for fees. So it's kind of like an A share stock. You're putting money in and there's a load charge. You have the load charge, you have the admin fees, and then you have the cost of insurance. So the cost of insurance is, as you can see there, it goes up over time because as the older you get, the more expensive permanent insurance becomes. But your cash value that's growing inside the policy helps, cover the cost, so to speak, as you utilize these type of plans. Now, if you scroll down to year 30, when we stop investing funds into it, go to 31, excuse me.
31. Yeah.
Yep. It's $120. That's your admin charges.
Mm-hmm.
And your cost of insurance, again, continues to go up because you're getting older, but you have a surplus of cash. So that's where your fees are, is right there. Um, so, but if you scroll back up to the first 30 years, here's one thing that you can look at that I think is important. You see the total charges tab where it's about 2000, pretty much 2000 every year, right?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
The crossover is year 6 where the interest is equal to or greater than the total charges. And then that continues to grow and outweigh what your fees are. So you're going to get compounding growth on your cash and your interest is overcoming your total charges, also accommodating for the fact that you're putting in net $4,000 roughly into cash growth per year. So the interest plus the compounding of the premium adding in outweighs the fees, but again, the fees drop when you hit year 10. Again, yours increase in year 21 because you're increasing it by over 50%. So that's why it's different.
Okay, so another question, I will use the same example. So at the age of 95, it says, Prasanna, can you go to at the age of 95 here, please? Yeah, so
95 or 96?
96, any age. So that age, when they say that net cash surrender value, say for example, it is 906,000 at the age of 95. So,
996, yep.
so if he withdraws that money, then
Don't.
no, can he
No, it's
withdraw that? That is
taxable.
first question.
You can, but you see that big number, that 8,068,000? That's your loan. Your loan plus your cash plus your death benefit. So if you took that 996, all that money you've been borrowing year after year after year will become realized because you surrender the policy. So at 95, you're going to have a tax bill of a lot of money because you want to take out $1 million. So I would say that that
Well,
is
I
something
want
you
to
don't want
combat
to
that a
take.
little bit.
Go ahead.
So in
I-
that
Ideally,
case,
we ideally we shouldn't have a tax bill because the overloan protection is supposed to kick in
If you
here.
pull, yes, if you pull the trigger and activate the overloan protection rider, but if the guy wanted to take the full 996
Right, right.
and close out the contract, yeah. But
Not become the
yes,
taxable amount, right?
no, if person dies at the age of say 96, so
then
what is
they
the
get the
amount of,
1.2 million.
Then
so
1.2 billion. That's a
he
done
will
deal.
get that amount, 1.2
Yeah.
million?
Far
What
right.
about that
See how
loan
it says
benefit?
net death benefit?
This is the one.
Yeah.
So this is the net death benefit, right?
Yeah. So basically, what's happening is that giant policy value is paying off your giant loan that you borrowed, and the net of your policy value minus the loan equals your death benefit. So that goes tax free. The 1.2 million goes tax free to the beneficiaries. So if structured appropriately, Uncle Sam never touches any of the proceeds, death benefit, and cash value. But that's why you take loans instead of withdrawals.
Okay.
I want to stress that's why you have to make sure that your client reaches their overloan protection age, whether it's 65 or 75, depending on the
This one,
policy.
So
yeah,
what is
this one
that
is
Because
actually? Can you
75.
explain it little
yeah,
bit?
Yep. So OPR, Overloan Protection Rider, it's a free rider. It's built into most or all the contracts for these,
Mhm.
where if you hit a certain trigger of Corebridge is 75 years old and you've pulled out 95% of your total cash, you can exercise the rider. You have to elect it, but you can exercise the rider, and it will basically turn your policy, in the words of whole life, like a reduced paid up policy. You don't have to you can't take anything else, but it locks in the fact that the policy will never lapse and your client won't pay a tax bill.
So
So
where to select that? Means
it's already built in.
I have not checked. I have never
Yeah,
seen that.
it's
So
built in. So
it is
So
okay.
yeah, you don't have to worry about that. It's already integrated in the system. But some carriers it's not. So on your application, you would elect it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a great feature, especially for these income type products, because if you don't have that, you're kind of swimming without a life preserver, if you will, in the ocean. Because I
just
can
just
swim in the
to
pool.
just to give you an idea, look at your loans at age 86, 303,000.
Hmm.
You're
Yeah.
getting a credit, or you're assuming a credit of 323,000. But what if the market doesn't perform that year? What if you get a zero? There's no credit, right? So this 433 that you have left in surrender, well, you just lost 303,000. You lost 75% in 1 year. A second zero knocks you out completely, right?
Mhm.
So I was going to ask you this too, Phil, because I know this is a participating loan. That's what would happen. But
Yep.
wouldn't you recommend a standard loan in retirement or no? And
So it's
why?
a toss up. Yeah, I was gonna say it's a toss up because there's two trains of thought. In the industry, most agents will show standard or participating loans because it shows you higher income, right? You're always winning. Um, if you look at what I've told people is do the S&P more than anything, given the track record and the return. The track record shows that 7 or 8 out of 10 years is an up year. So it should make up for the participation and growth opportunity. Plus, on top of that, so these illustrations show only because they have to follow the AG 49A revised rules. So they are only showing a loan participation. Like, so Corebridge is 5.5. They give you a 1% bonus. So it's really 4.5. But even though you see the interest there, the interest on the loan credit is only 50 basis points higher than the loan. Because of AG 49A rules, you can't show a full participation rate on the
Mhm.
borrowed money. You can only show an advantage of 50 basis points to protect the clients. So what I would say is that I personally would do participating
Even
because
even knowing the caps will be lower than what you're showing here?
potentially. So
Well,
Corebridge hasn't changed their caps in since I've used them and been with them. The lowest they've gone is like 9.5%. So
okay.
so I'm very comfortable, understanding from that standpoint. Now, again, the beauty of this is you can actually change from participating to standard 3 times. You can go back and forth 3 times. So if you wanted to come 85, you can flip the switch and just change it to standard loans because you're not going to take any more money out. And now you're at that wash loan rate. So
There you go.
you can definitely do that too. But I think really from that standpoint, um, the exit of liability on the consumer or the agent in the company is that the client has options at the time when they feel they want to look at either a conservative rate or an aggressive, and we leave it up to them. So here's your options, here's what you can do, and then at that point they can go forth and prosper. Now, I have some agents who will show standard loans because they don't want to be held liable for an aggressive illustration. But for me, given that the loan rates, especially some carriers, the max they'll go is 5 or 5.5%, and with a par rate, or excuse me, a cap rate of 10, most carriers you should be able to overcome that no problem. Like my kids, they have max Accum products and they've hit no less than I've seen on the S&P 875, even with tariff conversations and stuff like that. So it's been holding pretty well, to say the least.
Well, what happens to the loans? If it is a loan, then aren't you supposed to pay back? Or
Well, the loan is so the policy value is a combination of the cash that you have in the policy,
Mhm.
the loan that you borrowed, and the death benefit. So once you pay back the loan with your tax-free death benefit, that's why the net death benefit is left because you're paying for it's all accumulating and continuing to go up, right? But once you pass, you have to shore up that loan that you borrowed from the company. So the company is just going to take your tax-free death benefit to pay off your loan and then give you the rest or your beneficiaries the rest. It's almost like the company has a collateral on your policy to pay back the loan that you borrowed.
Okay.
Yeah, your actual policy value is the big number, the fourth
Yeah,
column over. So
Okay.
at age 95, your policy is actually worth 8 million,
yep,
not 1 million,
yep,
which is the surrender. But that's because the loans are pulled out against it.
Okay. So loans are
exactly.
deducted from this, and that's what you
Yep,
get as a death benefit.
that's the leftover. Yep,
And that's
yep.
the realized gains that Phil's talking about. Because you put in 206, but it's grown to 8 million. That's a big tax bill.
That's a
Yeah.
huge bill. So yeah, you could take that million if you want, but Uncle Sam's gonna have a field day with you.
Won't keep
So
any of it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Might as
Won't
well
keep
jump
any
in
of it.
front of a bus at that point. So, but so Shalaka Prasanna, does that answer your questions? I know we got kind of a twofer on that one. So
Yeah, I have
I
one
got it.
last question regarding that premium, that
yeah.
flexibility, maximum premium and minimum premium. So
Mhm.
maximum is like single level. What is the maximum allowed one? What is the MEC? Then means I know the MEC, but that sometimes those are different. Maximum single level and MEC level premium. So
Yeah.
which one we should tell the client?
So what I would say is as you're looking at those, I would tell the client the maximum is the guideline level premium.
Right. Guideline.
Okay. Because that word level is the most important part. Some carriers will call it guideline annual premium, but you don't want to go above that from that standpoint. So if I just had, like here, if I'm solving for face amount and I got 15,000, now minimum face, no mech, that's the same thing as me trying to find the guideline level premium face amount because it's going to take 15,000, but it's the exact same thing. Seven pay, guideline level, and guideline single are all just tests that the insurance company uses to find out whether or not your policy will be a mech. And so, what I say is the easiest rule of thumb is like if we flip the script and said we're looking for a premium, the max premium on like a $250,000 face amount, for a total of 15 years or 20 years, max premium is going to be the same as guideline level. These other ones are just guidelines to figure out, like if like Prasanna was doing, was trying to do his own separate calculations with face amounts of premiums or whatever, you know. Then the seven pay and the guideline level and the guideline annual would try and figure out what rules you may violate, and they'll either knock down your premium, eliminate your premium, or turn your policy into a mech. So you have to basically stick with what the carrier says is the guideline level premium for the face amount and don't go above that. Now, on the illustration, so let's just run this real quick. Um, I'll do increasing. So on this illustration, you'll see on that ledger page, so it'll have your target, your guideline level, seven pay, annual. It'll have benchmark, which I think this has benchmark. You don't have to worry about benchmark. That's actually just a QOL thing for the old career agents when they had them. They would measure things by benchmark premium and not target premium. So now what you'll see here is if you look at this page, some
Mhm.
people will say, oh, well, the minimum you can put in is 114. Now keep in mind the target is 5580. That's the recommended amount to keep the policy normal and active as a regular death benefit sale. Now, monthly guaranteed premium $114. That's roughly so 120 times 12. What do you got, like 1200, $1,400.
Right. Yeah.
So it's severely underfunding the policy. What the monthly guaranteed premium is, it basically is the premium that'll keep your policy active for like 5 years. So I would tell people if they say, well, what's this monthly guarantee premium? That's like your dire straits, like you can't make premiums because you just lost your job kind of thing. But this is not something you want to rely your whole policy on because you're doing a disservice to the client.
So Phil, real quick, then what is the 16,000? I know the initial, what do you mean by initial guideline level premium
That's the most you can put in for a $250,000 face amount.
for the
Uh,
year, correct?
correct. Yep.
Okay, yeah.
On an increasing. So if I had this level the whole time, my
Mhm.
guideline would actually drop to like 9,000.
Mhm.
So
And
it's
make is 18,000 here. So still 16,000 is the maximum payment he can make
yes,
during
because
the year.
if I did this 7 pay premium at 18,009, what'll happen is so guideline level shows a streamlined level of 16,209, right?
Mhm.
So if I just copied this and I changed it, I'm like, you know what? Screw Phil, I'm gonna do the 7 pay. And you think, well, I can stuff more in. That's $18,000. My prediction is that come year 3, maybe year 4, you'll see 18,000 drop to like
Hmm.
5,000, drop to zero, and then it'll change back to the 16,000 after because once again, you don't want to violate the rules of the 7 pay, which is like they all interchange. So the 7 pay, the level premium, so we have 18,931.85. See that? Year 5 gets funky, 6 funky, guideline level premium, and you can't go higher.
Right. So basically, this is the maximum, right? I mean, you have the minimum as 114, and this is kind of the maximum. Only I think it's just it's worded different because in NA it is called maximum premium. So it's the same, only it's just
Yeah.
worded differently in this.
Guideline level, guideline annual, guideline maximum, those can be interchangeable depending on carrier, but you want to stay away from the 7 pay because they'll give you funky numbers.
Okay.
And a client will be like, so wait,
And
I have to put in 11,000 in year 5 and 10 in year 6. I'm not going to remember that because the bill will still come at them at 18,932. And then they'll get a letter saying, hey, you gave us too much. We're going to take you off automatic billing because you gave us too much. And then now you have to resurrect that later. I have a client right now who is paying 750 on a guideline level, 750 a month when he should be paying 500 a month for his kid. And now he's off automatic bank and I have to like call up Corbridge next year to see if he can put money back into the policy. So it just happens, but they'll take you off automatic bank draft because they don't want you to have your contract become a mech. So they're trying to protect you from you.
And then another question, if 1 year I cannot make that full guideline level. So here in
Yep.
this case, I couldn't make it is 16,000 max I can make, but
Yep.
instead I made only 10,000 premium
Yeah.
payment. So can I fulfill that in next year or no, it's gone.
Yes, you can. It's not like a 401k or an IRA where you have a yearly contribution and you can't catch up. Here you can catch up. So, like with Prasanna's example of 6,000 in the first, 20 years, well, that client in, year 10 could put, he missed out on about $3,000. We'll use, well, 3,600 per month per year. So he could put $36,000 in one time in year 10, to
Oh,
catch up on all the premiums he missed.
catch up premium. Okay,
Yep.
got it.
So, yeah,
And then one last question. I know you are.
famous last words, but that's okay. I mean,
So,
that's what we're here for, right?
so when once you start taking payment or like
Mhm.
pension payment from your, so you reduce from increasing to level
You want to
fixed.
change the level once you're done funding, Okay. And the reason being is that you want to keep your cost of insurance down.
Okay.
So if you if you do it increasing while you're taking income out, well, increasing means your costs of insurance are higher because it's basically your cash value plus your death benefit, but now you're depleting on one end with higher fees, and what's going to happen is you're basically screwing your client. You know, it'll make them run out of money faster.
I stopped making payment after age 50, and then I waited for 15 more years and start taking out a pension from 65. So at what age I should change that increasing thing? 51 or
50.
60?
Yeah, once you put your last premium in, flip it to level.
That's
And I would nix the word pension because pension is a
not
guaranteed
pension.
premium.
Correct.
This is not guaranteed. So
Right.
just saving you from yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good job, Phil.
Um, thank you. Thank you. People don't pay me to look good. They pay me to teach you when to duck. You know, if something's coming your way and you got to duck, that's what I'm here for. So, um,
I have a question, Phil.
yeah, what's up?
Speaking of Corbridge, I know when I met you, I think you were pushing their annuities a little bit more, and now you have more of a well-rounded approach with the Annuity Genius. How do you like Corbridge's annuity still? Who are you
They're still
using?
good. Yeah, I mean, they're still good. But I let the numbers speak for themselves, from that
Yeah.
standpoint. Um, so a lot of carriers have enhanced their conversation, their story. Um, I've been able to add more annuities from different IMOs, and we have them as needed, if you will, because you can't really build off hierarchies for that. So I might do I might do LOA for other ones to allow for hierarchies if people want to do that. If you want to stay independent, you get paid direct. But if you want hierarchies, we can talk about that with other carriers. Like the one I'm showing here in a minute is, F&G for guaranteed income, Delaware Life, and Athene, you know, because they're guaranteed. So, but if
What
you'll
about on
notice
the
here,
accumulation side, when you start talking about renewal rates and stuff like that? Who are you liking?
so on the accumulation side, I really like that new Athos product that I mentioned before with the par rates and the extension,
Yeah,
because I think the design is unique and it's brand new. So I do like that from an accumulation standpoint. I do also currently like I do like Corebridge because they have a high S&P cap, and they also have a trigger account. Lincoln has a par rate on the S&P, but I think Symetra has a better par and cap rate. Plus, they have the Nasdaq as well. So, if when you talk participation rates, and then Anico just came out with a new deal for their annuity, where within the first 90 days they'll find the lowest point, and that'll be your point to point marker for next year.
that's
So
every anniversary for every
I
point to
have
point.
I I have to look more into it. It
Okay.
just came out, and they're paying better too because Brookfield bought them. I think that's the hedge fund company. So they're
Okay.
juicing up some incentives to sell Anico's products. But I do like the that initial part. So you have 90 days to get a good point to point. So, but
Lincoln bring me
yeah,
too bad. I'll never touch him.
I know. But every carrier has some niches,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So, but I will say it is 8:59. I'm gonna have to bid you guys adieu because Daddy got to go make some money. But in any event, um, again tomorrow we got our conversation around whole life, 4 o'clock
Yes.
Central, and Then next week we'll be back at it again. So I'll figure out a new topic for Thursday. But if you guys have any other questions, and again, the idea for this is to find opportunities for you guys to help grow your practice. So, if this helped you find some clients, if you need some case design support, things like that, give me a holler anytime. But appreciate you guys and have a great night. All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Fidel.
Okay.
Thank
See you
you.
guys. Bye.